Movie review.
Life moves pretty fast, but if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. Hello and welcome to the first ever J Square movie review. I'm your co-host, Jay Newman.
And my name is Jack. I'm the lesser host.
That you are, Jack. That you are indeed. This week, for our first week, we decided to review everybody's favorite classic 80s movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And we took some notes, and I think you guys will really enjoy how we present our movie reviewing skills as never seen before.
We are here to share our opinions about all the movies throughout the past 30 years or so to the world. You people.
Yeah, so we're just gonna share some of our movies with you guys and how we feel, hopefully to either incite you on whether or not you want to watch a movie that you weren't sure whether or not you wanted to watch, or just kind of if you guys were curious on what our insight on the movie would be. And so yeah, we just want to enlighten you guys. This is a class, if you will. It's a class where we are the teachers. Not sure how well that would work out in real life, but this is a real life. This is the internet, so we can do whatever we want.
Yes, and there will be spoilers throughout this podcast, but we will give you warnings when we get to certain times and tell you to skip ahead a minute or two.
Or we can just say a warning now. Warning, this podcast and probably all our other podcasts, these will contain spoilers to the movie if you haven't seen them. This one is practically 40, 35 years old, so yeah, you should... if you haven't seen this already, I don't know what you're doing with your time.
Yeah. I'd be disappointed if you haven't seen it. It's amazing.
It's a very good movie. So, personally, I actually really like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Probably seen it 3 or 4 times. It's just a very solid movie. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy the setting that it's in. I enjoy the time period. I really like Chicago. Chicago's a really nice place, so I really like the setting of where they are and just where they go, what they experience. But yeah, I really can't think of a lot I didn't enjoy about it, so maybe I would go a 10 out of 10. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I've seen it probably 6 or 7 times. I first saw it with my sister many years ago and loved it the first time and just been continued watching it because it's really good. I think I would agree with the 10 out of 10. Maybe a 9.5 out of 10 because, I don't know, I'm picky about that sort of thing. But yeah, I agree. I really love Chicago. Went there a couple years ago and just went to many different places from the movie and made me appreciate it even more.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I personally really enjoyed the movie because I'm into comedies. I almost said rom-coms, which this is not. This is just a comedy. I really like the laughs it gives, and little known fact is that Ferris Bueller's Day Off was actually the first or one of the first movies to have a post-credit scene, which is now used all the time by Marvel. If you haven't seen any Marvel movies, I really don't know what you're doing with your life because we'll be doing some of those in the future as well. So,
yes. It's just been so amazing for Marvel movies that they've noticed that Ferris Bueller was the first one. So, a great Marvel movie, Deadpool.
Great movie.
Which came out in 2016.
Did.
Their post-credit scene gave a little info about their second one coming out in a few years after it. But they did it in the style of the Ferris Bueller to give a nod to it and just give it some respect that it deserves.
Yeah, Wade Wilson, Deadpool, Wade Wilson. He comes out in a house looking a lot like Ferris Bueller's house in Ferris's... in his bathrobe he's wearing, and
which is a very iconic part of the movie.
Yeah, the white and red bathrobe.
Beautiful.
Striped, and he walks out and just kind of, he says Cable will be in the next movie, but we're not here to talk about Deadpool, but we just wanted you guys to know how...
We're here to talk about Ferris Bueller, an amazing movie.
Yeah. if we haven't made that clear enough already.
Yeah. Have we mentioned that it's a good movie?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. So, some other things about the movie, for you car lovers out there, Ferris Bueller features a beautiful 1961 Ferrari 51 GT California, which is the red Ferrari that is Cameron's father's car, which he loves more than life. They take it out for a spin in the movie, but that car is estimated to be worth around $11 million today, which is actually crazy because, I mean, 11 million, that's a lot of money. Not a lot of people have that kind of money. Yeah, Ferraris back then were really nice, and they're really prized to have today.
And one of the reasons it's worth so much, they made pretty small quantities of this type of car, and, well, they're rare, which makes them even more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, there's a lot of really nice cars that were featured in the movie, but that would probably have to be the nicest car that was featured in the movie, and it's the main car that they use in the movie. Like when they go out for the joyride, and they skip class, and then
Which is not a good thing to do, kids.
Do not skip class.
Don't skip class. School is very important.
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very important. But, So, Ferris Bueller also started the whole trend, helped start the whole trend of movies breaking the fourth wall, which is when you speak directly to the viewer. Deadpool also breaks the fourth wall
many times throughout his movie.
Like that's like 16 walls he breaks. He breaks
at least 16 walls.
Yeah, at least 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if you couldn't tell already, Deadpool takes a lot of inspiration from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they're great movies. So.
But again, we're not here to talk about Deadpool. We are here to talk about Ferris Bueller. Well, and his day off, yes.
Yeah, his day off. Not Ferris Bueller. It's his day off.
It's his day off, yes. So when he skips class, he and his friend who is sick, Cameron Fry, he thinks he's sick, but he's really not that sick, and he's kind of over-exaggerating it. He calls Cameron, who has a car and can drive, to go over, pick him up. But they also want to break out his girlfriend from class, which, again, don't skip class, kids. Bad idea. Am I right, Jaden?
Very bad idea. We do not condone skipping class.
No, don't skip class.
But we do condone watching this movie if you haven't already.
It's a great...
it's a great 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It's just a solid movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
10 out of 10.
Focus again. So, anyway, Ferris believes that the principal would never believe that Sloane's father drives Cameron's piece of badness car. And
it's a horrible car.
It's really just ugly. A bad car, really. It's nothing like the 1961 Ferrari 51 GT California.
Man, could you imagine if that car was in the movie?
Can you imagine?
That'd be crazy.
You know, as crazy as that would be, it actually happened.
No way.
It was Cameron Fry's father's car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, even though Cameron thinks it's a bad idea to take out the car, Ferris convinces him to take the car and go pick up Sloane, his girlfriend. And then they go off on their amazing adventure throughout Chicago. Yes. One of the greatest cities in America.
They visit, what's that museum called? Do you know what the museum's called they visit?
I believe it's the Art Institute of Chicago.
Yeah, they visit the Art Institute of Chicago. They visit the Bean, and they just stare at themselves through the Bean all warped because, that's how metal does. And
they also go to Sears Tower, but
Sears Tower.
Back when the movie was made, it was called Willis Tower.
Yes.
Little known fact. And then they changed it. I don't actually know why.
I wouldn't want to go to Sears Tower because I personally am not a fan of heights, which I discovered with this guy right here.
Me.
Don't want to go too in depth outside of this Ferris Bueller movie, but we went to a little tower called the Astoria Tower. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
The Astoria Tower, right on the border between Washington and Oregon, I believe so. So it's around the border, somewhere over there.
Very northern Oregon.
Very northern Oregon. Very, very northern Oregon.
Like very north.
Could even say southern Washington, but
it's in Oregon.
Okay, yeah. We went up to the top of the tower, and it just wasn't a great experience. Got a little dizzy, got a little lightheaded. Everything was really bright. It just wasn't a great experience. So,
fun fact number 1: we actually watched Ferris Bueller on that trip.
Did we?
Yes, Jaden. Yes, we did.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah,
totally not making that up for the podcast. And little known fact number 2: that was during a great fire smoke outbreak.
Oh, yes.
Forest fires all over California, which drifted up into Oregon, and it was just bad to go outside. Bad for the lungs. Felt like you were smoking. It's just not good.
It's not good. Yeah. Do not smoke.
Smoking is just bad. You can get lung cancer, tuberculosis.
Yeah, tuberculosis.
Rip Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, Arthur. That was very sad.
Arthur Morgan's a great guy. He just died of tuberculosis.
Let's just recap. Do not skip class and do not smoke, because those are very bad things you can do, and you can get in a lot of trouble.
Also, I feel like we should talk about the movie.
I love that movie. It's really good.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Have you seen it?
Dude, this joke is getting a little stale, but
a little stale, but
10 out of 10.
We just gotta keep saying it, man. It's good because it's a 10 out of 10 joke, just like the movie is 10 out of 10.
Yes, just like the movie. A very popular line that Ferris Bueller, the movie, actually references is from James Bond. He says Bueller, Ferris Bueller. And it was a nod to James Bond. That's another movie. I don't think we might review it at some point in the future, but
James Bond's very classic line. James Bond is how he addresses himself to all of the people he meets throughout his movies.
Jaden Newman.
Wow. Good job, Jaden. You said the line.
I said the line, Jack.
You really did.
Yeah. You want to talk about the music, Jack?
Yeah, I can talk about the music.
Okay.
The music, like the movie, is just amazing. 10 out of 10.
Twist. Yeah.
Yeah, so Twist and Shout by The Beatles, which is a great song.
It's a pretty good song.
Yeah, I'd say it's one of their best. They have a lot of great ones.
They have a lot of good songs.
It's one of the best.
Yeah.
Good little party, make you want to move. Not quite disco, but it's good rock. Little rock and roll there. It's nice. Yeah. And they have a whole scene for the song. There's a big parade going on in the movie. And Ferris somehow finds a way to get on one of the parade floats, and he gets them to play the song and sings it, lip syncs, for the whole town of Chicago, blasting it through the speakers, and just gets everyone really excited and happy, and everyone's dancing.
Including his father, who is not aware that he skipped class, because that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, have we talked about why you shouldn't skip class? We should probably stop doing that one. Anyway, yeah, it's getting a little old. And his father, who is in a skyscraper working just a couple hundred feet above him, looks down, sees the parade, and he starts doing the twist in his office. It's pretty funny.
He also sings Dankeschön. I'm not aware who sings that. No. But he has some good songs he sings. And the whole parade scene was actually choreographed phenomenally. It's a great scene it's a very iconic scene from a great movie, which I bet a lot of people could recognize because it's just a really good scene. But it was top notch. I really enjoyed that scene. It was one of the best scenes throughout the movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of the best scenes from the movie. Yeah, and his friends Cameron and his girlfriend Sloane, they're down below watching him, thinking he's a little crazy for doing this, and they think it's a little crazy of him to be doing this sort of thing. But then again, he is in high school.
You only live once, guys. Might as well make the most of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What else should we talk about, Jaden? Do you want to talk about
talk about the fact that the director of Ferris Bueller... Oh, actually, while we're still on the topic of the whole parade scene, through some...
Having trouble speaking there, Jaden?
Yeah. I got a little bit of a stutter, but not really. We did a little research to see how many people actually helped participate in the scene in which there's the parade, and it shows over 10,000 people show up to participate in the scene, which is crazy, but also in a big city such as Chicago, it's not that many people, but still a lot of people to be participating in a movie such as that.
Yeah, I mean, 10,000 people seems like a lot of people, but the population of Chicago according to 2017 studies, there's 2.716 million people in Chicago. That number may have changed, probably go up or down over the last 2 years, but that's still crazy to have 10,000 people in a movie, especially back in the 1980s when movies weren't as large scale as today.
But that's also different. The population, I'm sure, was different back then, but that's almost 1 out of 300 people would have shown up. But yeah, that's crazy how many people would actually show up to participate in a film such as that. But a director of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or we should probably fact check that, but I believe the director, John Hughes, he actually changed director John Hughes directed Ferris Bueller. He actually has his license plate on his current car, on one of his cars, as SF or SVFRRIS, which is a nod to when everybody believes Ferris is homesick.
Very, very ill. And so they start a slogan, like a campaign. Sorry to cut you off, Jaden, but I felt like I needed some speaking time.
It's okay.
Yeah. So they start this campaign to earn money to help him buy a kidney, because that's how serious they think he's sick, but he's not sick. He's just skipping class, which you shouldn't do. And yeah. And so they even have enough money to save Ferris on the water tower in the Chicago area, and that's just become a very popular slogan and very memorable classic line from the movie.
Probably the most memorable or classic line from the movie, and that's probably it's very iconic for that movie. So that was a very big deal.
Yes.
But yeah, he has that from his. He has that on his car. They also have the Bulls game, which the Bulls game, when they go to the Bulls game, those Bulls, right? Chicago Bulls?
Chicago Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
Bears. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears, the baseball team. Bears win the World Series. Also a great movie from Back to the Future 2. It's a good line. Anyway, the Chicago Bears baseball team, they decided to skip class and go out on... Yeah, the Chicago Bulls are the basketball team, Jaden. But the Chicago Bears, baseball team, they went to a baseball game, and Ferris caught a live ball when he was just in the crowds, and they hit a foul ball. He caught it and got a little souvenir from his travels that day. And actually, his principal was in a very popular teen hangout area, little pizza place, and he was watching the game on TV, and he just happened to look away when Ferris was on TV catching the ball.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. Almost got busted, but he didn't.
He did not.
No.
So throughout the entire movie, actually, the principal, he does not believe Ferris is actually sick. He believes he's skipping class because a couple things that he's done throughout the movie is, at the beginning, he hacks into the school computer to actually change how many missings he has from class, which the principal notices. The principal does not believe him when Stallone is 9 times he was absent from class, which he returns to 0. He pretends to be Stallone's father, picks her up. They do a little kissing in the car, which the principal, as well as the viewers, find a little awkward. But because a father and a daughter, high schooler, they shouldn't be kissing like that because that's not appropriate.
Hey, Jaden, Catholic school here. Just keep our audiences,
Okay. Well,
okay, we're moving on from that
he's
part
just
of the
catching
movie.
on. He's just catching on.
Yeah.
Just some weird trends that are going on. But he also notices Cameron's missing, and there's just a bunch of things throughout the movie which the principal realizes are off, and he just doesn't believe Ferris is homesick.
Yes, and so he goes out through Chicago trying to find Ferris. He doesn't actually.
not.
Actually,
We'll get to that.
in part of the movie, toward the end, he goes to Ferris's house to see if he's there, just to double check that he's not home and he's not sick. And he goes in and he doesn't find anyone, but Ferris's sister, who also skips class, not a good idea, she goes home to double check that her brother isn't homesick, because she also doesn't believe that he's sick. And she accidentally runs into the principal at their house and gets scared, runs upstairs, calls the police, and he disappears before the cops get there, and she gets picked up for like a phony phone call for prank calling the police. And that's just another part of the movie that you'll have to watch when you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it already.
If you have not, no. One other thing that Ferris is well known for is setting up Rube Goldberg machines around his house, which, if you don't know what that is, I believe it is when you set up a machine that one action can spark many other actions. Let me look up the dictionary definition.
Like a chain reaction, Jaden?
Mm-hmm. Rube Goldberg machine definition. A Rube Goldberg machine, contraption, invention, device, or apparatus is a deliberately over-engineered or overdone machine that performs a very simple task in a very complex fashion, usually including a chain reaction. This expression is named after an American cartoonist, inventor Rube Goldberg. So yes, for one scene, the parents walk into his room to see how he is doing when he's homesick, but he's actually not home, but they have it. So when the parents open the door, a string tied to the ceiling drops a trophy, does all these other Rube Goldberg machine-ish actions, which make it turn on an audio track of snoring and basically moves over a dummy in the bed, which makes it look like he is sleeping in his bed, which he's not.
Which is actually a pretty smart idea if you were to fake sickness, which you wouldn't, obviously, because that's a bad thing to do. But for the movie, it is a good idea of how to get away with not being sick. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
Yeah.
In the movie, towards the end, Ferris, Cameron, and Salone, they all go back to Ferris's house. Or did they go to Cameron's house? They go to Cameron's house, and then Ferris goes back to his house.
Yes.
So they go to Cameron's house. They're still in the Ferrari. We did not mention they park their Ferrari in a parking garage. And the people who actually work at the parking garage take a joyride in their Ferrari, just kind of driving through. That wasn't a big deal, but we just thought we'd mention that. They take the car back, and they're hanging out at Cameron's house, and basically the father, he knows all the numbers on the thing, such as the mileage that they own or that are on the car. And so they realize that the father's going to realize that somebody's been driving the car because the mileage is different. And so they try to put the car in reverse and jack it up into the air so that when they go in the reverse, they don't actually move. But Ferris, he basically just sends it flying off a cliff, which totally ruins the car. Totals the car, yes.
Which is a very sad part of the movie, because it's just a beautiful car, and seeing it destroyed like that, it can be hard for some car lovers out there.
Yeah, and Cameron realizes his father's probably not going to be happy with him for having his car destroyed like that, but he decides he's actually going to stand up and basically just face his father and tell him that that's not how he that he thinks he should be, he should get more recognition in the household. as a loved family member.
Yes, and it's revealed throughout parts of the movie that Cameron and his father don't have the healthiest relationship, and maybe they're not very close as a father and son should be. And he thinks this will, even if it'll get his dad mad at him, they might make some progress in becoming closer family members.
Yes. So that happens. Ferris realizes he needs to be home before any of his other family members come home and realize that he's not home. So he's just sprinted through the suburbs of Chicago and almost gets spotted by his father, who's driving down the street, and he has to run into the backyards of his neighbors. And while all this is happening, Ferris's sister is actually at the police department, and she starts to talk to this man played by Charlie Sheen. They start to talk, and they start kissing, but then she has to leave to get home, and basically the principal catches Ferris at the back door and basically catches him from staying home sick, but then he comes inside and nobody notices, and it's happy ever after.
It is. And more on that running through the backyards scene, which is a very iconic part. It's been parodied and redone twice to my knowledge, possibly more. They did it in Family Guy once, the animated series by
Seth MacFarlane.
Thank you, Jaden.
Fox.
Yes, Fox now, and actually it might have been Fox the whole time.
It's Disney now, actually. Disney bought Fox.
Oh yes, Disney bought Fox. Greatness. And also with Disney runs Marvel now, and they have for many years. But in Spider-Man: Homecoming, Spider-Man also has to go somewhere very quickly, and so he just runs through the backyards of his neighbors. Very iconic. And he actually runs past his neighbors watching Ferris Bueller at that scene, just for a little comedic effect.
Yeah. It's very funny. Very funny scene. But, that pretty much wraps up this whole Ferris Bueller movie and the first episode of J Square Movie Review. We would like to know feedback from you guys if you enjoy how we basically formatted this whole podcast. I believe we could do a better job in basically going more sequentially throughout the movie rather than just kind of jumping back and forth. But it was a very fun experience, actually, for recording this first podcast. And I'm very excited to record our 9 other movies for J Square Movie Reviews Season 1, guys. That's Season 1.
This is Season 1.
Maybe, Season 1. Hopefully we can get Season 2, but we don't know yet, so...
we don't know.
Yeah, you're going to have to stay tuned and watch our other ones.
We really hope you enjoyed, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.
Adios, amigos.